Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition, or I would say the last edition, of our Journey Into Nyx set review.
Just the Journey ones, right? We're not done with set reviews, right?
Not set reviews.
Okay,
just
we're
the
okay.
last Journey Into Nyx set review.
Because I would lead the mob.
Oh my God, you would be with there the pitchfork and the torch, making it happen.
The angry mob.
Oh, but I am Evan Irwin.
Brad Nelson.
Yes, all day. And together, we're going to talk about the final cards from Journey Into Nyx. And that will be the green ones, along with some other multicolor and some lands.
So you'd say we have found our destination.
Oh, the final one. Brrr, bus kills us. All right, so the first up is Basara Tower Archer. You are 2 green, 2/1 hexproof for each creature. Hey, Wizards, print some more hexproof creatures. They're real fun.
We love them. Actually, I think the ones that... I like the tension of hexproof creatures when they're not busted, right? They're not Geist of St. Traff, they're not Invisible Stalker. This is just a 2/1 reach hexproof. Like, if you invest a bunch of guys into it, or like enchantments like Unflinching Courage and madcap skills and stuff like that, and I can't deal with it, then I deserve to die. But like Invisible Stalker and stuff like that,
Invisible Stalker,
busted.
I think they understand was a mistake, and that's fine because it's both unblockable and hexproof, and they screwed up there. You know, this guy legitimately with an Unflinching Courage, and then you play a Johnny Mentor of Heroes, like he's just so crazy huge. You just need a Devour Flesh type effect, or you're just dead.
Or you erase it. I mean, I think that is fine for where the format's going to go.
Sure.
And I even like it in Limited. I like the effect of having a hexproof creature that you can bestow onto and it won't die.
Yeah, I mean, and that's good that they can't sort of get him while you bestow him, and that's cool. But you know, it's a restrictive mana cost at 2 green. A 2/1 reach is
mediocre at best. Yeah.
Right, mediocre. It's going to trade with basically anything and everything, and you're going to basically have to make it better than it is in order for it to either get in the red zone or be able to actually impact the game. So in that regard, I think it's a little meh. It's a late pick at best.
Yeah, it's not that aggressive. I wouldn't take it that aggressive, but again, I like being base green when I'm in green deck, so I might take this somewhat early because it will give me a pretty powerful effect that I'm looking for.
Interesting. I'm not saying it's complete garbage or anything. I'm just saying like it's pretty low powered based on, I think, it just having hexproof. Colossal Heroics. Again, nice Stryve card that blows out complete combat steps everywhere.
Well, I'm a big fan of pump spells that let me untap my guys. I'll tell you what, those are some of my favorite pump spells on the planet, and this one can give 2 of them that ability and just be such a surprise block or attack.
And this is a great one. Like, there's very few. I think the other one is the black removal spell, Silence the Believers. But this is one of the very few Stryve cards that is more expensive to start with and cheaper to Stryve.
Oh yeah, and then so once you have 7 mana, and you get to give 3 guys +2/+2 and untap them. So you not only get to blow them out on your combat, but then they can block on theirs. Yeah, this is a very good card. This is something you should take as high as Dauntless Onslaught.
Dauntless Onslaught, there you go. Yep, it is just it's a blowout. It's a limited blowout. Almost all of the Stryve cards are limited blowouts in one fashion or another, and this guy is no different. He is going to be great every single time. Consigned to Dust. Now, not quite. Now, this isn't really a blowout per se, but it is terrific in its format. In its limited format, you're going to have a lot of targets that are going to do a lot of damage with this thing when you get rid of their bestowed creature and you just exile their other enchantment creature. That's awesome, and yada yada, all for the low cost of 3 at a time.
Yeah, and I think this is going to be something that's very main deckable, especially for the 2-for-1 potential, especially when the games get going and they spend so much mana in their creature and their bestow. Like that, you're getting a good rate at killing 2 creature or two spells.
Yeah, you know, just 3 at a time. I'll take it all day. Now, Desecration Plague. I miss Creeping Mold. I like Creeping Mold. I don't like the, you know, sort of some parts of Creeping Mold, but not others.
Yeah, but Plague's flavorful, and they didn't want, I don't know. Sure. I mean, I like Creeping Mold too. It was it's one of those iconic cards. Maybe it's just because we grew up with it. And
I guess that's probably the thing. You know, it's like, is it really bad for it to kill an artifact too? I mean, I guess they really want artifacts to be good. I think in this format,
they want them to not be highly touchable.
Yeah, you know, sort of be hit by splash damage, if you will. You don't want to be like, well, you know, you're going to solve enchantments, but no artifacts, no artifacts. So that makes the 6-mana 4/4 flyer better. And spells like this, where it just cannot, you know, hit an artifact, make that card better as well.
Yeah, and I mean, the flavor of what's going on in this world is there's a lot of life. I mean, there's enchantments that are animated and things like that. So I do like the idea that it's not like a mold that's killing them or an algae, you know, like it is just an actual, like, you know, bugs and disease and stuff
I
like
have
that.
to imagine the bugs eating the things.
I mean, this is a very flavorful set, and I mean, I got hooked on the flavor of Magic in Innistrad. I loved it.
Sure.
Like, I even have a song for Innistrad block. Like,
Oh,
I'm
do
not
you?
even kidding.
What is it?
It's Blue Sky Black Death.
that a
Ghost
band?
of Men. Yeah, Blue Sky Black Death is a band, and I think it's Ghosts of Men. I don't know. It sounds just like you're an Innistrad block.
Wow. Well, you know, I got Blue Oyster Cult's Fear the Reaper, so
Okay.
there you go. Nice. Dictate of Karametra because Heartbeat of Spring needed to have Flash on it. That's all. This is going to be great and casual. This is going to be super fun when you're able to play in your commander decks along with Heartbeat of Spring.
It's a commander
It's a
card.
commander. You're going to be like, I'm going to put in the commander bucket because that's where it belongs. Because it's just not going to be anywhere else. Like, you know, I've seen a few attempts to put this in constructed, which is, you know, kind of hilarious. You're going to run it some sort of turbo fog type build or whatever, which is cute.
Rakdos return you for 50.
Absolutely adorable, but just not.
Playing Monstrous my Stormbright Dragon. I don't know.
It's not a card that was meant for constructed play.
No, because in Standard, I mean, a lot of decks have mana sinks. And if you give them a lot of mana, they're going to be able to do their thing a lot better.
Don't do that. Even if you get it first, it's really not enough. Like you have to go so far above and beyond whatever it was they're doing. You know, you have to make sure that they're not going to be able to use the mana much at all. And there's no 8 mana Armageddons or even 10 mana Armageddons.
There's 8 mana Armageddons.
Where?
He's holding Uranus.
Is that what he's doing?
Yeah, he's
Is that what
holding Uranus.
Oh, he's holding Uranus. All right.
No, Uranus.
Oh, you're Uranus.
What? Dirty mind.
Whoa, wow.
Evan, where are you
God,
going with that?
Be a man.
This
Keep it
is for
serious.
children.
Yes. Kids can watch this, Brad.
I know.
Brad.
It's on the internet.
You brought it up.
I did. I brought
your
up
fault.
a planet. The factual thing that happened.
Actuals. Now this is
I mean, if you want me to tell you about how the time Hercules went to Atlas, I can explain that to you.
Oh, you can. About the apples? It was about the
Yes.
apples?
No, it was,
Do you like
my
them
story is
apples?
about the origin. Favorite movie too? I want a high
There
five
we
for that
go.
one.
There we go. Eidolon of Blossoms is the enchantress of this block. You could not have an enchantment block without an enchantress. Now, yes, I think it kind of it has the abilities of enchantress, but it's got the name of Wall of Blossoms, and that's fine. You know, ultimately it is a good card. I think this is a very huge build around me card. I've already seen a ton of decks that people have built around this card alone.
Yeah, I think that this card's fine. I mean, for starters, it's just 4 mana. You get to cantrip, and you can block or something, right? But the thing that I love most about this card is it triggers off of interacting with a lot of the cards you're already going to play. Like Courser Crewfix, for example. Not only does your Coursers trigger when they come into play, but when you get to see the top card of your library and you get to cantrip so many times, it's awesome. So like Chain to the Rocks, Banishing Light, these kind of cards are going to help this card. And even if at its worst, it just draws a card and blocks a 2/2, that there's going to be a lot. It trades with Mutavault. Cards that trade with Mutavault are important to have. They just really are. They change the way we play Magic.
Mutavault, you're so good.
Yeah.
You know?
And so I'm a big fan of this card, actually.
Actually, yeah, I mean, I think this is going to lead its own archetype. It's going to be really, really good in Standard. We've already seen a ton of decks that's been using it. When Return to Ravnica leaves, I think this card gets even better.
And then, doesn't have to be sad, first pick it in drafts, play it in all your sale pools.
Lord God, it's great and limited. It's terrific and limited. And it's so good and limited, it's going to bust into constructed that, you know, when you can really build around it and really craft your deck to get the most out of it, you know, you're able to start drawing infinite cards and way more than your opponent.
Don't draw infinite cards because you'll deck.
Yeah, don't do that. But you can draw a lot of cards.
A lot of cards.
That's sweet. I love Eidolon of Blossoms. I hate Font of Fertility. It is crap. It is actual garbage.
I mean, okay, here's the thing.
It's one of the worst cards
All right, here's the
we
thing.
have ever reviewed.
That is just not true at all.
No, it's really bad.
I mean, what about the other fonts?
Oh, God. No, this one, even the white one has more going for it than that one. 3 mana for a land? Okay, the white one's bad. The
Okay,
white
so
one's
let's-
5 mana for 7 life.
let me
It's really
speak.
terrible.
Let me.
Just go.
Where's
Just
the
go.
speaking stick?
Just do it.
Okay, so we already found out that Rampant Growth and Farseek are pretty good.
They're too
They're
good.
too good. And we've already found Cultivate
It's too
is
good.
too good.
Yep.
So this is just the version that if this is good, Wizards has to see if we're going to play with this. And what if this is good? It still lets you play a 4-drop on turn 3.
Oh, God.
Yes, it doesn't work that well with temples. That's the issue.
Yeah.
But it lets you play 4-drops on turn 3, which is why all these cards were powerful.
Oh.
And this could potentially see play.
Wow.
I'm going to say that maybe it'll see some block play. Maybe it'll see some standard play.
I think it might see some block play, maybe. I mean, you're killing me.
I don't even see how this is that painful.
This is bad.
This is not bad.
This is a rate that I've never had to pay before. As a Magic player, 3 mana for 1 basic land tapped. I've just never had to pay that amount of mana for 1 stinking basic land tapped. I've just not.
I mean, I'm just going to say that...
There's a new watermark of how much mana you got to pay for
yeah,
one stupid
because
basic
ramp
land.
has been defining standard for so long that they want a fixed version. If you want, you ramp, you pay for it.
Then they should have had this thing do something else.
I mean, that's like I don't know.
I don't know. Bad cards need to exist. I'm not saying I don't want bad cards to exist. They need to exist so other cards look good. I'm just saying this one was particularly heinous for me. Heinous.
Which rhymes with Uranus.
A theme, ladies and gentlemen. Honestly, it's probably playable in a sealed deck which you're splashing a color. I can see it. You know, I can see you wanting to make sure that you splash for some ridiculous bomb that you have.
And it ramps you.
And it technically ramps you, yes.
Technically, it literally ramps you.
It literally ramps you, but it technically does too.
And it's probably better than Traveler's Amulet if you're base green. And I think it's fine. We're going to move on before he has an aneurysm.
Fine. Now, what was really interesting to me that since Leaf Gilder, there has never been a 2-mana 2/1 that taps for a green.
No, what interests me is I don't really get into the hype with all the Wizard stuff, but Wizards did this run through the maze game to spoil this card. Do you know what I'm talking about?
This card?
To spoil this card. You had to run through the world of the format, and it was one of those like build your own adventure. It's like, there's a dragon in front of you, what do you do? And there's 3 options, and none of them feel like intelligence. Yeah, they're like,
that article.
Like, do you bribe it? Do you run away from it? Or do you fight it? And I'm like, well, I'm not going to fight it, but I don't think it speaks, so I'm not going to bribe it, so I'm going to run away. Ah, you died. And I'm like, I guess I'm going to bribe this Cerebus. Like, I don't really know how you bribe a dog.
Oh, God.
And so by the time you get through the whole maze, you get to the garden or something, and it shows you this card. I'm like, that's the card that you chose this whole wonderful adventure. Like, we get to the fourth 2-mana ramp creature in standard. It's the 4th one that's playable, and I think it's the worst of all 3.
It is, and that's fine. You know, it's going to be really good and limited. It's a fine dude. It ramps you. It bashes in. Again, I was like, you know, Leaf Gilder was a card, but it hasn't been one for a long time. Since like a lore one. There hasn't been a 2/1 for 2 that taps for a green. I was like, that's crazy.
There's just been multiple better versions of Leaf.
Just multiple better versions, yes, of course. You know, and that's fine. But again, this is a limited, not only say all-star, but he's certainly a limited mainstay.
Yeah. All right, second complaint I have for this
card.
now
Second one.
Is I really feel like they just took the art from Denny's and just put it on a Magic card. Like, this is what I see at like your mom
random,
and pop joint.
Yeah, your random diner place, you know, okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess the elk has a few distinguishing marks-ish.
Yeah, I mean, and then, you know, you look outside and you see, like, the hunter's got the gun rack just sitting there. And that's the diner that I feel like. I feel like a North Dakota art is that card. And now I'm just insulting my home state, so we should move on.
We're just moving. Look, just play it in your limited decks. You'll love it. Hero's Bane. Speaking of limited decks, ooh.
Yeah, this card seems very good.
Yeah, seems a little insane.
Yeah, it's a mana sink. It's already got a decent body on its own. It's a must deal with, or just you have to chump block it every turn, and it just gets so out of control so fast.
Oh, I mean, if you give the red Stryve spell that gives this, you know, +2/+0 and trample, like this is a card that wants trample. It wants to be bestowed, so when you activate its ability, it gets counters equal to its power, not just equal to the counters on it or whatever. Like it gets counters equal to the power. It gets really crazy, really fast. It is a sweet bomb rare for green.
Yeah, and I just hope that I open it, you know, because I just went and saw Captain America 2. And, you know, all the Hydra stuff and Hail Hydra, and I just want to, like, every time it's like, cut off one head, there goes back 2.
Hail Hydra. Love it. Humbler of mortals. I want to be a humbler when I grow up. What do you do for a living? I humble. I'm being humble.
I guess it does humble you in the sense that these things start trampling over you, but I think it's one of the weakest. Like, all the other ones are like, evasion. What are you going to do, brah?
I know.
Like, you can't touch this, and this is like, I'm going to trample over you.
Now, this one's I'm going to, not get bigger, but I'm just going to probably do more a little bit in creatures.
Maybe.
I control.
You know how we said, like, the benefit of the tempo boost of getting the evasion? That's invalidated by trample, because trample might not get you through or over or anything that creature. So this is just another big, dumb, idiot green creature that is going to be interchangeable with all of them.
Yep, I mean, it's not that the ability is bad. It's not that gaining trample is bad in some way. Gaining trample is a good thing. Trample is a good ability to have. It's just that 6 mana 5/5s in green
You have the
are kind of
options,
par
man.
for the course.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like green. It always feels like, what's that place called? Like that country home, the buffet place. Like the country something buffet.
Like there is the country buffet. I don't
Let's
know.
just go with country buffet. Like just a buffet. It's like all the options are the exact same and they're all mediocre. Like, it just always feels like that for green decks.
All kind of tastes the same, don't it?
Yeah, it's just like it's either a 6/5 trampler, it has this come into play ability, or it's got a pump ability, or it's just another, or it's a 5/5 for 5. Like they're all just identical creatures to some extent. Like they're all the interchangeable pieces.
They're all the big dumb animals.
Yeah, and it's kind of blah.
Meh. This guy is just kind of meh. Like he's nothing you're super excited about opening. There's nothing you're super excited about taking early. You're probably going to get him on the way back, and
He's not going to be exciting in play.
yeah, he might not even do much. Like you have to play another enchantment just to give himself trample at that point.
And he's already a 5/5 for 6, so if you're having to trample over armies, like
Speaking of biggity bomb rares, yo dog.
yeah,
I heard you like Hydras.
I do. I've kind of been sick of them. There's so many in the set, but this is my favorite.
This is an awesome
besides
Hydra card.
besides Pulchronos.
Sure.
And the reason I like this one is because it's such a cool curve. It's like at 6 mana I get a 7/7, but at 7 mana I get 3 3/3s. That's actually a pretty good return on 7 mana.
Yeah, that not only does it make this a 10/10, it gives you 3 3/3s.
I didn't even think about him being a 10/10. I just thought about the 3/3s. Yeah, that's awesome. It just gives you 12 power for 7 mana.
Yep.
That's a lot of power.
It really is. This is a card that if it lived in a different environment, if things slow down a little bit, it could actually reach constructed. Like 6 mana 7/7, bust out all the duder guys. It's not the craziest thing in the world.
It isn't. It's a must kill, or it just your situation. Like if this is a problem when it comes down, it's gonna change the game the next turn. So maybe that's like the test, right? Like if a 7/7 for 6 mana is good enough, then this card is just gravy.
Right. So when you go back and you say 6 mana for this guy, 6 mana for that guy, yeah,
And that's just it. Like
it's just the best you can do.
these are the cards
Yeah,
you're gonna open that put you into green, and then you're gonna just see more copies of worse versions of them.
Pretty much, because
Yeah.
this card is completely ridiculously awesome. Super limited bomb, love it. Crewfixes Insight. Did you know there is no card in Magic before Crewfixes Insight that revealed the top 6 cards of your library?
I did not, but I do know that many people lately have been building Enchantress Maze's Index. And playing this card, and I've always been confused by that because you just mill over a gate and you lose.
Yeah, I don't like that idea. I definitely like the Eidolon of Blossoms deck in
Yeah.
coordinates with Crewfixes Insight. And again, there's been 15 cards in Magic, and I checked this morning, that reveal the top 5 cards, but this card is the only one that reveals 6. And not only does it reveal 6, it lets you get 3 enchantments, not just 2 of them, or not even just 1 of them. Like, this is an excellent, excellent card. I think this card is actually pushed. The only question for me, honestly, is limited. Is it good enough and limited that will draw you enough cards for it?
You're going to have to, A, if you're in black, so like if your graveyard's relevant. B, you're not going to want to take it early and build around, but you're going to want to take it late in pack 1 if you already have a decent amount, and then maybe subtly draft more of the guys. So instead of like taking a Voyage and Satyr, you might take a Leaf Crown Dryad and things like that. Feral Invocation over other pump spells.
Right.
Just to get the enchantment count up, because if you get 3 cards in your hand, that's pretty good for a green deck.
That's better rate than Harmonize.
And I
green.
guess that is a defense for the 5/5 for 6 because it is an enchant creature.
Right, at that point,
or
it's
enchantment
that
creature.
Right, at that point, those creatures become better. At that point, the creatures become more synergistic than just on their own. You're like, well, 6 mana, 5/5 and green, But once I can draw it with this card and be able to draw 3 cards off this 3 mana, that's
Potentially.
fantastic.
And the problem with that is I still don't even think your chances of drawing 3 cards are that high with lands in your deck. So, and they didn't make enchant lands.
Wish they did.
That would have been interesting. But, I mean, they can't be as broken as artifact lands, right?
Right.
I mean, they can't really. Enchantments haven't really existed in the.
Well, they also didn't have an affinity for enchantments in this
or
set.
tinkers or things like that.
Right.
But I do think that I would never play this in limited for the fact that I rarely play divination. Unless the format super slows down, I don't play divination.
Unless it's sealed, which, sealed, I think that divination's a lot better than it is in draft.
It's insane, yeah.
So like again, Crewfixes Insight, however, on the flip side, when you're in sealed, you don't have the selection that you have in draft.
And you just hope to hit like your bombs. I mean, maybe if you have like a lot of bombs and you just want to dig to them, like if you have cards that will win you the game by grabbing them, that's great. But if you're just high density of like low impact enchantments, I won't play it.
Yeah, it's really one of those really interesting cards that's amazing or potentially amazing constructed, and probably not that good in limited at all.
Yeah,
it's kind of mediocre at best. Market Festival, because we need an overgrowth up in here. Yeah.
I mean, I kind of like this card. I can get behind it. I think it lets you have
4 to 7. I'm all right with that.
Yeah, exactly. And sometimes you're not doing anything relevant on those turns, and you just need the mana ramp. And if you just go 2/4/7, 2/4/7 is just a very powerful effect in limited. So I'm behind this card. I don't think I'd want to play more than one, but I've found myself playing the cultivate for 4 mana that lets you scry one.
Yes.
So I would much rather play this card.
Yes, it has like the P name. It's very interesting, as I recall. But yeah, Market Festival is one of those where, like the white 7-drop that we talked about that puts the creature from the top X cards equal to your planes or whatever. These are the types of cards that let those cards be better. To let if you have one of this or 2 of this or one of this and the enchant the land and gain 2 life. Is that from? It's from Ravnica, isn't it? But yeah, so this is the type of card basically that will let you play those. Yeah, Verdant. But this is the type of card that will let you play those huge monsters and not really feel it, or not have to sort of make them sit in your hand for as long.
And this is also the green version of the Trading Post.
Ooh.
Market Festival, Trading Post. Why do I always have to bring up Trading Post? I think it's a condition.
It's your jam, dude.
I should get a shirt.
You should. Nature's Panoply. Panoply?
I mean, there's just not the reason I like that it gives counters, that they stick around. But
it's instant speed, which is nice.
It's fine.
It's probably one of the worst Stryve cards.
Yeah.
And it's still technically
it strives to be good though. We haven't used that joke, and I don't know how many more Stryve cards there's left.
I think this is like the last one.
No, there's 2 more.
Is there really?
Yeah, there's a rare and the double. Sorry, no spoilers. Sorry for the spoilers.
Sorry, guys. But yeah, this is one of the weaker ones for sure. It can still lead to blowouts, but just not quite as big. The guys don't get indestructible. The guys don't get trample. They don't get first strike. They don't get all these things that other spells allowed you to do. So
they get 1 Gavany Township activation.
For a lot of mana.
Yeah, give me back Traveler Preparations.
Oh, Travel Prep was sick. Card is sweet. This card is basically mediocre. You're not going to love it in limited, but you're probably going to play it if this is as good as it gets for your Stryve cards. Still triggers heroic, which is fine.
Yeah.
Nessian Game Warden. There you go.
I can get behind a guy that gets me more guys, yeah.
Too. I like this guy a lot.
4/5 for 5 is pretty good body for limited, like Nessian Asp is that. I know it had other abilities that made it the best of all of them.
Oh, yeah.
But this guy being able to dig you deeper into creatures and just get some utility out of it, find some bestow creatures. I like this card a lot, actually.
Yeah, I think this is really sweet. If nothing else, you play on turn 5. Let's say you got 3 4s. You look at the top 3 cards. You don't even have to show them. It's not reveal.
Yep.
It's just look, and you're like, oh, there's none in there. Let's put it on the bottom. It's fine. I don't have to show you what I'm playing. I don't have to show you some bomb rare or some bomb spell that I wasn't able to get with this guy, which I think is sort of a fringe, bonus to this dude. But ultimately, good stats, solid dude. Get your card advantage. Looks great.
Yep.
Good and limited. Very nice. Oakheart Dryads, again, another one, terrific and limited. Works with all of the enchantment creatures, obviously. Works terrifically with bestow stuff.
It also, what I like most is if you play a 2-drop, sorry for cutting you off there.
Go for it.
If you play a 2-drop into this, and then you bestow on the next couple turns, not only do you get the guy that's being bestowed big enough to attack, but you get a different guy big enough to attack as well. And so it keeps like the pressure on your opponent. So that's what I really like about Oakheart Dryads.
I mean, if nothing else, it's a 3-mana 3/4. Like, that's terrific. You just put the counter on itself.
No, it doesn't give counters.
Oh.
Yeah.
I thought it was a counter.
No, but there is a card, I think, next that puts counters.
Next that puts counters?
Next.
Ooh, Thunderhoof. Thunderhoof. There's been so many Ferris Band stuffs. Previously, for 5 mana, you can get a 3/7. Now you get a 3/4.
Yeah, and I mean,
With a better ability.
There's also other centaurs that have these abilities in you know, in Theros that they're coming back to get 2+1/+1 counters, but they've all been good, and this just gives another common run for the 3-drop or the 5-drop, excuse me, because there's the 3/3 centaur that put 3 counters on.
Yeah, like yeah, there's that guy, and then there was the Trumper or whatever.
Yeah, the 2/2.
Yeah, in Theros itself. So you know, there's a whole chain of these guys, and we're going to get to their lord here in just a second. But overall, just sort of good, solid limited creatures. If you're able to get them to trigger, it's good times.
And they're scary once you untap. Like, all these guys are very good. Like, they look underwhelming, but you're going to play tricks and bestow just because that's part of the format. Like, you can't get away from that. And so these guys usually are better than their bigger counterparts that don't have heroic, just for the fact that they can potentially just be game-changing.
Absolutely. When you untap with any Ferris Band, Thunderhoof, Ferris Band X creatures that have heroic, like, it gets pretty scary for your opponent. Pretty scary. And now, here's your Ferris Band War Chief. Yeah.
We get a Centaur
Lord.
Especially, I like how Centaurs were in both sets. We had the token Centaurs from last season. And this, like, you've got a very underwhelming standard core theme going on right now.
Well, I mean, you know, obviously Wizards is like, I mean, you know, they want each type, I think, to have a lord. I think it's really cool for each creature type to have its own lord that works in its own way. I love that it does have some cross-block synergy between Ravnica and Theros. But, you know, ultimately this is one of those cards that's just like going to be great for the casual player who is like, I love Centaurs. I want to build the Centaur deck. They have all the tools for the Centaur deck. Here's the guy you want in it.
And I mean, it's also just going to be busted and limited. Like, I'm going to take this first pick if I open it, because you get to Theros block and, you know, you have your pick order, right? You have like Voyaging Satyr into Leaf Crown Dryad into Nissian Asp into Nissian Courser. But now, because of this, I think you just take the Nissian Coursers and you're just like, you know, if I can just have a 4/4 Trample Vigilance on turn 4 attacking, like, that's super powerful.
That is absolutely both Vigilance and Trample and a bonus. Like, they didn't mess around when talking about a lord that gives bonuses. No. This ain't just like Lord of the, or Merfolk of the Pro, no, Lord of Atlantis. My apologies. This isn't just Lord of Atlantis. They're just like, my guys get +1/+1 on Island Walk. No. Let's make them bigger, scarier, and they don't.
Yeah, let's compare to a legacy-defining lord.
It's fine. I'm talking about the abilities, not the cost.
Yeah, I know.
All right, so Ravenous, what? Ravenous Lecrocata? Lucrocata. This is hilarious.
And this is when I love my job.
Ravenous Lucrocata. I'm going to go with Lucrocata.
Lucrocata?
Yeah.
Final answer?
Yes. Your pillar-filled ox in green.
You didn't look that word up?
No! I don't look up a lot of words.
This is what his daughters protected the apples from.
Rah.
Yeah.
Pretty scary stuff. Great creature, though, unlimited. Vigilance, being able to turn into, like, what, a 5/7, you know, Vigilance guy, just get you.
Yeah, it's a good finisher. I mean, coming down on turn 4 as a 2/4 is a little underwhelming for me. But if you ever bestow onto it, Vigilance is huge. Like I said, Vigilance is one of the most powerful abilities. You look at his body and you're like, this isn't that great. 7 mana to become a 5/7 isn't that great. But Vigilance is very powerful. It's right behind, I think, Flying and Death Touch as the 3 best abilities creatures can have in this format.
Absolutely. I mean, you know, it just hits you and it keeps hitting you and it stays back and blocks if you need it to, but more than likely, like, they're just going to have to double and triple or maybe more. And then if you got any sort of tricks, you're able to save this guy.
You can hold it up for both combat steps too.
Absolutely. So this guy looks a little underwhelming, but I think plays terrifically.
Yep.
Reviving Melody. Now this is sweet. I actually went back. Recollect has not been printed since 10th edition. Before that, it was in Ravnica.
Yep.
So I'm like, wow. So nowadays, instead of just getting 1 card back, you can get 2 cards back that are very, very relevant to the block that you're playing in.
Yeah, and I just realized how old I am when I'm like, it hasn't been printed. It was not that long. It was Ravnica, and I was just like, oh,
right.
Oh, wow.
8 years ago or whatever it was now. Like, so yeah, we're both old and ultimately recognize how good this card is, which is very good.
Because you get 2 cards back, and I mean, the downside is you can't get a removal spell. That is a big downside.
It is a big downside, yes.
Getting 2 guys is pretty good, but in green, you're hoping to. That's not really where you want the game to go. Like, if you're just picking up big monsters, you won't be able to play them for another turn, and if you're behind, you're losing. So these kind of cards are good, but fringe. I wouldn't just assume that if you have it, you're like, I have inevitability, because this format's not about inevitability.
No, and I also wouldn't say that, you know, this is something you want to run 2 of or 3 of, or, you know, you're picking it super high or whatever. But it is a card in, I think, green-blue. It's potentially good in green-black as well, where you sort of like, you trade these resources and you get them back, and you trade them and
I
you
love
get
it
them
in
back.
green-black because that archetype trades more often, and it also mills cards. So like you then have options from just those mills.
Absolutely. So again, not one of those I think you want to run more than one of in any of your unlimited decks, but it is going to do really well when you draw it. Renown Weaver. I like this guy a lot.
Yeah, it's so when I saw it, I didn't know how good it was, but I was just very fascinated by the design, and I think it's just a sweet card. Like, this is one of those guys that you can get back with cards like that generate more creatures. 1/3 creatures with reach aren't that great, but they're not bad.
But it is an enchantment creature, so it's going to trigger all of your constellation triggers.
That is true too.
Which I think is really sweet. And that's the other sort of thing I noticed this morning. I was like, oh man, it makes a 1/3 enchantment spider. That's awesome. It allows you to play it on turn 1 and not be sort of embarrassed by it the rest of the game, you know? You're like, well, I'm just going to get you until you decide to block it, and then I got a cool little spider that ideally triggered something else. You know, and so it's those little sort of things that can pop up and crop up in games that I really appreciate at this point.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I want to play too many of these, or even if I want to play some. Like, this might be a card that just you don't want in your main deck because a 1/3 isn't relevant enough.
Right.
But for the most part, it's a great card, and I'm glad it actually exists because it's just a unique design.
Right. If anything else, I just love the design. I think it's a really cool design space to be able to take a 1-mana 1/1 and do something really interesting, but not overpowered, and does feed in exactly into the block themes with the enchantment creature. Super cool stuff. Satyr Grove Dancer.
We've had different types of this card before.
This is not the first time we've seen this type of
card. And I've
card.
always been happy. I mean, at worst, it's a grizzly bear. And I like limited grizzly bears because this is a format where you want to curve. But when you draw it late, you don't want a grizzly bear.
Correct.
But so now you get to make that one creature that's relevant or now becomes relevant bigger.
Right.
And those are huge swings. So these are always better than grizzly bears, and I've played a lot of them.
Oh yeah, it's good early. It's really, actually I think really great late, because you can make that card really awesome, and you have a chump blocker at that point. So like this point, you're like, all right, I'm gonna make this flyer relevant, or this flyer big enough to kill your blocker that's been holding it back, and I'm gonna have this chump blocker for your huge monster that doesn't have evasion. That's gonna come over next turn, or you're gonna have to use a removal spell or something on this little dorky 1/1.
Yeah, and if you ever find it back in your hand, it has another ability, so sometimes you can like potentially bounce it to do something, have the effect again. It plays way better than it looks.
It does, and and it's not really bad in multiples. If you got multiples of this guy, then high five.
No, there's just more bears.
Yep, more bears. Speaking of Stryve cards, okay, you're right. This is the most insane Stryve card that exists right now.
It is very good.
Oh my God, this thing is insane.
This card is going to lead to so many limited blowouts, mostly because it can do so many cool things. Like, for example, like you attack with guys, right, and then they block, and then you play this, giving those guys, some of them +1, but giving these other ones the ability to fight. So then you just kind of, like, the sky's a limit of potential playability for this magic card, and it's so flexible in all of the different situations. It can just be a removal spell, it can be a pump spell, it can be both, it can be disguised as both with vigilance creatures.
It slices, it dices.
Yeah, it's a card that you first pick, it's a card that you always play in your seal pools, and
it's a bomb rare.
It's an absolute blowout.
It is. Like, this is one of those where you're reading, you're like, it didn't even need an instant. You know, it didn't even need to be instant speed. It could just have been sorcery doing it just fine.
Yeah, and it triggers all your heroic, and then those heroic creatures fight creatures, and even just for 2 mana as a removal spell, it's a good removal spell.
So good.
Yeah, the only thing you have to do that most fight cards don't is they have to be creatures that don't have something 6. So you can't play it and then prey upon immediately.
Right. So, okay, you got me.
That is a little relevant, but
it's a little relevant.
But because of how big of a blowout this can be,
this card is bonkers. Now, Solidarity of Heroes got the flavor bashing from one of my employees, where he was like, "Hey, it shows both Achari and Elspeth on this, and neither of them can get any benefit from this spell.
Yeah,
like neither Planeswalker can do anything with this spell. Can't double those counters." And I'm like, yeah, well, if you could, the spell would probably cost 6 mana or something ridiculous.
Oh, double their personal Planeswalker? Because this card does work with a Johnny's +1.
Yeah, I mean, it does. It helps out with that, exactly. But, you know, it's like, you know, Solidarity of Heroes, a Johnny and Elspeth, they're in it together, and nothing in regards to the spell can touch either of those Planeswalkers.
Yeah, I'm almost confident that this card got designed around the art / maybe the art just got thrown on it, because it's a very good piece of art for such a weird card.
It really
so
is.
They just, I think maybe they just commissioned it before they knew what it was going to go on, and then they're just like, we need to use this because it's really sweet art, but like,
yeah, what are we going to do with it? And like, double counters. Now, again, note that because of the way it works and the way that Stryve works, you're going to be able to put this on the stack, resolve all the heroic triggers to get all those counters on your guys, and then double all of them.
And so even if they didn't have any counters to begin with, they will end up with 2.
Exactly, or end up with more depending on what heroic cards you got. So, so needless to say, this is a very powerful card, but it needs the right shell, it needs the right enablers, or it's just going to sit dead in your hand and do nothing.
Yeah.
So make sure that you have some plan or some heroic cards that are really able to get.
Good thing most heroic guys will just work well with this.
Yeah, like almost all of the heroic guys in some fashion will help out with this, but some of them don't, and sometimes that makes this card awkward. Spire Spine, yeah, 3 mana, 4/1s.
Blocks each turn if able is the weirdest. Like,
I'm just going to turn dude sideways, like whatever.
It just makes the thing just attack anything it sees. That's pretty much what it kind of makes it sound like.
Yep.
Just defend your turf.
This is, and this is a really awesome design because at 5 mana, you're going to be putting on your dudes and bashing in, or at 5 mana, if they got something that you can kill.
A super sweet ability. Yeah, like some bomb that you're like, well, I can just attack, because it only gives 1 toughness.
Correct.
But then they can just attack with their 1/1 and force it to block. Because the funny thing is, it's forced to block, so like, some creatures say must be blocked, so then you can just put your biggest guy from. But because this is forced to block, then they just can send a 1/1, and even if you triple block it, they'll be like, I'll put this one on first.
Yeah, exactly. So I think the clever thing is that if they have a bomb rare or a bomb creature, and you're like, the only way I can kill it is to attack it with this thing, is you Spire Spine their dude, attack in, they have to block it, and then you get the Spire Spine back because you bestowed it onto it. So that's a really clever use of this card.
Yeah.
Again, now that we've seen the bestow creatures just really sort of branch out into as creative as they can be, it gets to be more interesting and more flavorful just to put it on other people's creatures because of the way you can sort of use and abuse it at that point, which I think is terrific. Otherwise, this is a great card. It's terrific however you slice it, and will do good things for you. Strength from the Fallen. This one keeps getting weird rumbles. This keeps getting like, well, this card might be good, this card might be good. And I'm like, I mean, maybe in the green-black dredge deck, but
you have to still play an enchantment, and this doesn't, it's not a creature on its own.
Yep.
And you have to have so many things happen. Like, first, you have to play it, and it's not going to have an impact on the board. Second, you have to have a graveyard full of creatures. Third, you have to then still have enchantments to cast. And fourth, you have to have creatures that'll benefit from this turn.
Yeah, I mean, there's a chance that you could play it and it does nothing. I think the thing that it has going for it is that when you play it gets the trigger, not just after you play another enchantment.
Yes.
And normally these cards would make you play more enchantments to get this type of ability, and this one doesn't, and it's only 2 mana, so it's really cheap. But I think ultimately, if this were, rare or mythic or something, it would sort of give you that signal like, hey, this is a build around me awesome card. But at uncommon and as cheap as it is, it's probably just not very good at all.
Yeah, and I'm a firm believer in if a Magic card makes me jump through hoops to make it good, I would just rather play what I think is good.
Right.
And this is one of those cards that I feel like I have to have all these things go right for me, and I have to be on all these, have all these cylinders firing.
Right.
Whereas opposed, it's like in this format limited, I love it because I'm just like, guy, enchantment, attack you, enchantment. God, God's willing, keep it alive, keep attacking, and I like that. I like that just attacking in this format, and this just seems too cute to me.
Yeah, it's really clever. It's really interesting. I think you're going to be able to build some really cool casual decks that sort of work that green-black dredge angle that isn't like super crazy competitive, and doesn't have to worry about Esper control or mono red aggro or whatever it is. You're going to get a lot of fun and play out of it, but otherwise, not much. I wouldn't really focus on this much at all. Swarmborn Giant I really love because it's the coolest design. Seriously, I've never seen anything like it. I don't really care if it's good or bad. I just love it because it's so crazy unique.
It's just a big monster, but if you ever get hit, it dies.
Yeah, but it has to be combat damage.
Yeah.
And if you're on the play, this card is probably pretty sweet and limited.
It can be. It's just very scary to me that if they just have a flyer that I can't deal with, I can't play it, and it's just sitting dead in my hand. And there are a lot of 2-drop flyers in this format, so that's my fear. And that might make the other early reach creatures way more powerful. Like you have to have reach creatures when you play this guy. But then again, if they have a big flyer, it can't race. So you have a dead card that can't race, and you might get blown out by it.
it's nice that it sort of has that ability. If you can side it in from sideboard, essentially, once you know they don't have a lot of flyers, maybe you're playing against like green black or something, they don't have a lot of evasion. But again, it's so fragile. It's such a fragile card that it only takes just a little bit to kill it. And again, the thing I loved most about it was the design. I don't really think it's good enough. Certainly not in constructed, and even in limited, you're giving yourself such an opportunity to kill it so easily.
Yeah.
Like the Doom Blade for this guy is hit me. That's all you got to do. And that's what you can do in limited. It's not going to hurt my feelings if I had to swing out and this guy killed one of the guys who attacked, but the other guy hit you and killed him.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, I'll trade at that point. Whatever it is. If I got two 1/1s and you got a Swarmborn Giant, then I just sack a 1/1 to kill your 6/6.
And I'm fine with it.
Yeah, it's just not that good, unfortunately. Fleet Feather Cockatrice. This card is awesome.
I love it. I love the art. I love how colorful it is. I love that just seeing the green and the blue mana symbol and seeing so much green and blue on the art itself. All the abilities are relevant. I like that it's a monstrous, and a 6/6 is a good power and toughness for a flyer. And it's like one of the first times that I didn't like. It broke the mold for me. This card definitely broke the mold. Like every time I saw monstrous cards before, I was just thinking giants and minotaurs. I didn't think about cockatrices or any flyers or anything, A
super crazy bird just gets like crazy huge bird.
Yeah.
Bird pain. It's like it's going to kill you. It's going to hurt you. Whatever it touches this thing is going to die. Monstrous on a flyer is awesome. Like
and flash flying death touch. Like so, it's a combat trick. It's an end of turn when you didn't have to use your other combat tricks, so you can now have a flyer in play.
It has a ton of play. It's a sweet design. I like this card a lot.
Yeah.
It's really good and limited. If you're in green or blue or green-blue, you're going to love it.
Or if you're in one or the other, you might just dive into that color combination because of this. Because Pack 2 has a lot of good multicolor cards as well.
And it's a very, very powerful card, no doubt. Now, Crewfix, God of Horizons. Okay. Commander! That's
actually,
right.
I think this card will actually be very good in Commander.
Oh yeah, actually sweet.
Yeah,
it's like is this what you want to do in Commander?
Sink and
yeah, you want a command tower. You want to be able to just float your mana with Omnath or an Omnath type ability or whatever. I've already ranted enough about how much I hate the wording of that last ability. I think it's ridiculous and a terrible way to put it. I don't think it's very intuitive. I don't think it makes a lot of sense that if your mana would empty, it becomes whatever instead. And you're like, well, but is it still emptying? Because it doesn't say it doesn't empty. It just says if it were to empty. So what?
Yeah, and that's exactly what I thought too. The first time I saw this card, I'm like, the actual thing, I put it on Twitter and everything. I was just like, so does this mean that you can tap for other colors in the format and then that becomes because like. And I was just like, I don't understand
felt weird.
it.
And and then a bunch of people, were just like, can't believe you didn't understand this. And I'm like, I guess, but like every other thing that's done this is not worded this way.
I'm like, you know what? If it takes, and that's just it. I got a lot of people like, how do you not get this card? I'm like, you know what? If it takes me not understanding how this crazy card I'll never touch or play against, to correct me on will validate you in Magic, that's fine.
Oh, yes.
I actually
Feel
like.
good.
I've never had so many responses. I had like 200 mentions back on Twitter,
Good
all
Lord.
just saying that's how it works. You dumb, bro.
Yeah. You like really? You don't get this, bro? Like seriously? And I'm
Like
just
I don't.
I'm sorry. And they're like, well, I wish when I wrote the preview article, I thought that people wouldn't get it. And I'm like, why do you see anything worded like that? It's weird. Doesn't make a lot of sense. Doesn't matter because in the world where it needs to belong, it's great. Commander players are going to love this thing. It's going to do exactly what they want. Going to be able to float all their mana as they want. It's partly weird because they didn't want R&D, as I understand it, didn't want you floating blue mana over the turns so you could have counter spells and stuff up.
Well, I don't know if that's the case. I think the biggest thing was if you were playing multiple colors, you'd have to keep track of all the different colors in your pool, and that's just challenging. Instead of just saying 17, I have 17 colorless, you'd have to be like, I have 7 blue and green and black, and you just have to keep all these measurements. And like for weird things, it's just like tap my mana confluence for red. I have 1 red in my pool.
Yeah, I understand. At least in terms of what they told me, from the Wizards people or whatever, from the designer. But I understand you don't want to keep sort of counterspell mana floating forever.
Yeah,
I understand that. It's fine. This is one of those cards. It's not for me. It's not for you. It's not for either of us.
It might be for me.
It might be for his weirdness.
It might be for me.
Yeah, sure.
We'll see.
I don't think so.
I might have a week where I'm a little bored. I might break this card.
Gotta grind it. Gotta grind out.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is a really sweet card that is for a player base that is not myself. But I recognize that for the players who like this type of effect, who are looking for the legendary blue-green god to run their commander decks, this is what they're looking for.
Yep.
And I think that is terrific. Now, Revel of the Fallen God.
When you need lots of satyrs dancing around your opponent's grave.
Got to get them. I mean, you know, it's 7 mana for 8 power of hasty duders, you know?
And I do like the...
Seems fine.
I like the art for what it is. It's like your god just died, so everyone just starts freaking out.
Yeah,
like,
they're just
like
like
Xenagos just died, so it's just like now they're just on a rampage.
Right.
Because I'm guessing because this card exists, I'm assuming that Xenagos did die.
Well, yeah, we saw it on the card, right? Deicide.
Oh, was that killing Xenagos?
That's killing Xenagos. Yeah, that's what she's plunging the sword into.
I didn't know that was Xenagos.
Oh yeah, he's back there going like,
yeah,
or whatever. So that's cool. I like the guy who's just like, I don't know what to do. Yeah. Oh my god. You know, so that's really sweet. I like that they have haste, which is awesome. You know, this is in limited seems terrific. I mean, you know, you're going to pay 7 mana to get 4 guys for the 8 power total. You know, this is one of those game-ending spells that you're like, oh, sweet, kill you. Like, you know, it might not get all the way, but at that type of mana cost and at that many guys and that much power, it has the potential.
And that point of the game, just being able to, like, when we saw the Minotaur one, and I'm like, I don't really like getting 2/2/3s over a 4/6, but once you can like break up an 8/8 into 4 pieces, it's actually way better because you get the spray damage. Like if they have 1 blocker and they're at 10 life, you attack with all of them, you deal 6, and then the next turn you attack and they're dead.
Right. So it creates a nice clock. It's not something that you want a lot of. You know, this is not a card you really want 2 of, but as a 1 of, it's a terrific 1 of.
For sure, it just can finish games.
Absolutely. Now, Hall of Triumph is our final card in Journey into Nyx.
And this is a good one to end on because this is one of the cards that I actually think is good and no one just sees it. Like, I do think like...
I actually think it's pretty good.
They're just like, Glorious Anthem hasn't been good in a long time. Like, correction, Spear of Heliod was good, and...
It was.
Glorious Anthem is not black or green or red or blue.
Yeah.
It's a white pump spell, and we've only had white ones. I mean, we've had Bad Moon, and we've had Gaia's Anthem and things like that, but like, being colorless and giving like black and Anthem in this format or red and Anthem, like these creatures just get better. And I think like this is just a 1 of in a lot of devotion decks. Yes, it doesn't give devotion, but it makes all your enablers better, and so you get multiple game plans.
Yeah, it gives colors that don't have anthems.
Yeah.
And that's never really happened before, and I think that's a great thing. And for the ability to sort of do that, again, at Anthem mana, you know, where I think in the past they would have made you pay more for this. Why? Because other colors don't get anthems, right?
Yeah.
But at this time, it doesn't matter. And, you know, because it is legendary, it kind of self-corrects. You know, the same thing with the Spear of Heliod. You know, now people are arguing, well, do you run 2 spears in 1 Hall of Triumph or 2 Hall of Triumphs and a sphere?
Well, it should always be 2 spears.
It should always be 2 spears.
It has another ability.
The spear is sweet. Yeah. But, you know, in those decks, absolutely, it's no question. But again, the ability to sort of go into a mono black aggro, mono red aggro, whatever, mono green aggro these days, you know, even mono blue aggro or blue white aggro, if that's the thing. You know, again, these are the type of cards that don't really exist before, and it's nice that they exist now.
And you should play this card unlimited because it's just going to give whatever creatures in play a big boost. And it is just a good effect. So I would play this card unlimited.
Yeah, oh, it's terrific. You know why? Because it says creatures you control. It doesn't even matter if you're playing blue-white versus blue-white or your color versus, you know, the same color. Does not matter because you get the benefit.
Yep.
Absolutely awesome in limited. You will love it. I certainly can see it in constructed. And ladies and gentlemen, that is the end of our Journey into Nyx complete set review. Can you believe it's over?
I can, because we just talked about every single card of the set.
Wait a minute. That's why we can believe it's over.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll make a note for that next time. All right. So, I guess the question is, you going to join me for conspiracy?
What's conspiracy?
Exactly.
We're not supposed to talk about that.
Oh. Shh. All right, so we don't know what we're going to be talking about in our next set review.
Nope.
I'm sure it's going to be really sweet. But what you guys did get to see was us talk about all the cards in the Journey into Nyx. There's going to be release events. There's going to be lots of drafting. There's going to be sweet block events. There's going to be sealed events. You're going to love it. I think this set is awesome. This set is terrific. I think it's head and shoulders over Born of the Gods in terms of interesting cards for constructed, sweet cards for limited. I love the mechanics. I like the sort of send-ups that they've done to older cards. And you know, it's hard to ask for anything more than that.
Just maybe more than one planet.
Just more than one Uranus.
That's true. I just had to do it one more time.
You really did.
I did.
So, ladies and gentlemen,
immature.
for Evan Irwin,
Brad Nelson,
tapping the cards.
So you don't have to. Stop stepping on my turf, bro.
Hey, man, don't be fronting.
Bye.